Hi, my name is Carl. I work as a buyer here at Sport Conrad for helmets, protection and goggles. Today I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you just talking about some of the goggles we have here at Sport Conrad to make sure you're staying safe out there on the slopes this winter. So when you're starting out looking for a pair of goggles, I think it's important to consider the size you want and the size that fits you specifically. So if you have a smaller head, I would go for a smaller goggle, something like this. If you do wear a size L, XL in helmets, I would go for something a little bit bigger, like this. The fit on your face is obviously very important too. When you try on a pair of goggles, you want to make sure that you don't have any gap anywhere throughout your face, between your face and your goggle. The foam needs to be covering every spot. However, when you have them on, you want to also make sure that the goggle does not pressure too hard on any point. If you have any pressure, let's say on the nose bridge or on your cheeks right here, when you're trying them on the first time, your time in the slopes is going to be rough. It's not going to be a fun time skiing with a hurting face. You want to be out there enjoying the weather, enjoying the snow, and enjoying the company of loved ones. So when you've decided on a size of goggle that you're going to go for and that feels good, you want to make sure that when you try it on in your helmet that it fits. You want to make sure that there are not any significant gaps on the top or on the sides between the helmet and the goggle. This is important because when you're skiing down, when you're having a good time out there, you don't want any of that cold air coming in and chilling you. You want to make sure that you're staying protected from the elements at all time. The next thing you have to decide on when it comes to goggles is the shape of the lens. Here you have three different options. The cylindrical lens only has a horizontal bend like this. The spherical lens has a horizontal and a vertical bend. And so does the toric lens. However, the toric lens has a little bit more of a sharper angle in the horizontal bend, combined with just a little bit of the vertical bend, which will give you a little bit more of a peripheral vision. The toric technology is new. It's only been out for about a year or two. So we're still seeing it being more widespread in our lineup, but it's definitely a new and interesting technology. The cylindrical lens has been popular since the beginning of people using ski goggles, really. But thanks to new technologies where it's been injected molded, it doesn't actually... The spherical and toric and the cylindrical, you can basically choose between all of them and get a good performance. It's also, when it comes down to it, a lot has to do with what look you like. What you like in colors, what you like in shapes. When you're shopping for goggles, you're also going to hear the word visual light transmission. What does this stand for? Well, visual light transmission stands for the amount of light that's let in through your lens. The lower the amount, the lower the percentage, the less light you'll get let in, and the higher the percentage, the more light will get let in. So, for example, this will have a really low percentage in visual light transmission, and this will have a higher. This one will be good in conditions where you'll have a lot of snow, it will be a little bit foggy perhaps, the sun is behind clouds, while this goggle right here, with a lower percentage in visual light transmission, will be better on sunny days. When you're having a bluebird day, you're out there, you're getting some sun, you're really enjoying yourself on the mountain. This is important to look at when you're buying goggles because in general it's better to be able to see more when you're out there. So choosing a goggle sometimes can be tough because of the lens specifically. So that's why a lot of goggles these days, they include a second lens. For example, like this Ano. It will include a spare lens in it. So you will have a lens that's for sunnier conditions. A mirrored lens will typically have a lower VLT percentage than a non-mirrored lens. And it will usually reduce the glare when you're out there skiing, created by the sun bouncing off the snow or the ice. Traditionally, you have 4 different categorizations when it comes to lenses. You have from an S0 to an S4. S0 and S4 are not seen very often because an S0 lens is mostly used in really dark conditions, maybe when you're night skiing or so. So the lens will be completely see-through. While an S4 lens is a lens that you're usually going to use on a glacier climate where the sun is reflecting so strongly off the surface that it could actually hurt your eyes if you don't have a goggle or a lens protecting you from it. So where we operate is basically between the S1 and the S3 category. The S1 lens is really good for anytime you have a snowy day, you have a foggy day, or just a day where you have a really bad flat light. This will allow you to distinguish all the different bumps and different little hills in the landscape. While an S3 lens, on the other hand, will protect you from a really blaring sun on a bluebird sunny day. So for example, this orb right here, again, that's an S3 lens. And thanks to its mirroring, it will also protect you from glares bouncing off the surface of the snow. And this Salomon right here, it will actually give you a better chance to see any bumps on a really foggy or flat light day. Having many different lenses can help you battle different and changing weather out there on the mountains. If you are a person that doesn't really feel like, I don't want to carry extra lenses with me, I don't want to buy extra lenses, I don't want to worry about it, then there is an option for you too. The photochromic lenses, like this Uvex Variomatic here for example, will actually change its darkness to the weather that's outside. So if you have a really bluebird day, it will get darker. If it starts getting a little bit cloudy, it starts getting foggy, it will actually get lighter. So that's an option for you if you don't want to keep changing lenses on your goggles. However, there are a lot of different ways to change goggles these days that are made very easy with magnets and different pop-off systems. So if you were used to changing goggles, lenses in goggles a few years ago, the technology has advanced so much that it is a lot easier these days. So there are a lot of new technologies that have been developed in lenses these last few years. So there's a cool technology where the contrast will be enhanced when you use the goggles. So for example, Prism is the Oakley lens, called Zeiss has a lens for POC and other brands, where you also have Chromopop for Smith, you have Sonar for Anon. And what these technologies will do in the lenses, they will enhance the contrast, block out certain wavelengths of light, and create a clearer landscape for you to ski through. This can really help out when you're out there on the mountain, when you really have a bad day, when you do have those foggy days, when you get into a snowstorm, to make sure that you can see at all times. This also ties a little bit together with the UV protection. So every new goggle out there on the market today will have 100% UV protection. Polarized lenses is another technology that's been talked about a lot, and yes, it will help you reduce glare, and it will help you with eye fatigue. It will reduce it the more you use it in a really bright conditions. However, it will also reduce your depth perception. Most good goggles these days will have a double lens system, which is made to prevent fogging on the inside of the goggle. Basically, the way it works is that it has a vacuum between two lenses, separating the cold air on the outside from the warm air on the inside of the goggle. This is also combined with an AntiFog coating on the inside of the goggle. The AntiFog coating can be rubbed off if you're constantly cleaning your goggles on the inside by rubbing like this. When you get any snow in there, if it gets wet in there, So what I would suggest you guys do is, if you do get a little bit of moisture in there, you do maybe sometimes, unluckily, you can get a little bit of fog build up in there if there's a lot of moisture in the air. What I would do is take the goggle, shake it out, obviously if you have some snow in there, let it heat up so that the snow on the inside will become water, and then just gently pad the inside of your goggle like this. Don't rub, don't scratch, because this will rub off the anti-fog coating on the inside of your goggle, and that will just make it worse for you the next time. So if you want to prolong the life of your goggle, make sure that you're not scratching the inside of the goggle. OTG goggles are made so that you can actually wear your prescription glasses underneath them. Some of these OTG goggles will have a little bit of a cutout, as you can see in these Oakleys here, to make sure that you do not get any pressure buildup on your temples. This is obviously very important if you're skiing a whole day and you have prescription goggles or glasses under your goggles, because you do still want to be comfortable when you're out there on the slopes. Other OTG goggles just basically rely on the fact that they're bigger, like these Anon right here. They are a really wide goggle, but they do also work with this little cutout here in the frame. So the foam will just be gently pushed around the small frame of your prescription glasses, and you'll be comfortable and skiing great all day long. When we're talking about OTG goggles, we talk a lot about the foam, but the foam is actually something that's really important for everyone and for every goggle out there. The foam makes sure that you have a comfortable goggle sitting nicely on your face throughout the day. It also makes sure that the goggle can ventilate when you're out there skiing, making sure you have a constant supply of air moving through, and you're not getting any fog build up on the inside of your goggle. And the last part really I want to talk about is the frame. As you can see, we have a few different options here in frames. Here you just have a little bit showing on the top. Right here you have a little bit showing on the top, on the sides, on the bottom, in the pock, while the Oakley is almost completely rimless. So the thoughts behind this is, the less of a frame or a rim you have, the more of peripheral vision you will have. However, with the size of goggles these days, and with all of the technologies we talked about earlier, the cylindrical, the spherical, the toric, we have fantastic vivid, prism, chroma pop, sonar technologies that make sure that you're staying safe and you can see where you're going at all times on the slopes. This doesn't really matter anymore. The rim, no rim, with a rim, it's basically all a personal preference. And when you're buying a goggle, you want to make sure you look good, and you want to make sure it fits, and you want to make sure that it keeps you safe out there. So come into a store, come into a Sport Conrad shop, and make sure that you try on with the help of an employee, and you can walk out of the shop happy.